With this week's astrology, I have two pieces of advice. Mind your business and protect your peace. Hi, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to Just Your Magic Monday, your weekly horoscope told through the lens around how you can align with the astrology, how you can synchronize with the stars, how you can co-create with the cosmos in order to experience more magic and more alignment within your world. And today we are gathered to discuss the astrology for June 10th to June 16th, 2024, here in my cosmic corner of the internet with a cosmic beverage in hand, just as we do every single week. So if that is your thing, I would deeply appreciate a subscription, a like, any little nudge of engagement that you can give is so appreciated. We would love to have you join us in the Cosmic Corner. These are posted every single Sunday to get you prepared for the week. The horoscope starts with Monday and goes onward. When it comes to this week's astrology, it's important to remind yourself that you are a magician. You are able to take the ingredients that the cosmos has thrown at you and turn it into something magical, turn it into something divine. That being said, sometimes the cosmos gives us more conducive ingredients to work with. Sometimes it's a little easier to turn a life into something magic. And sometimes, like with this week's astrology, we have to get a little bit more creative around how it is that we navigate these influences and how it is that we turn it into something helpful, aligned, magical, what have you. And the reason I say this is because midweek we have Mars square Pluto and Mercury square Saturn. Now, you know, if you listen to my forecast, if you've worked with me, because this sentiment is echoed into every single element of my work, I am big on co-creative astrology. I am never one to say that we are victims to the cruel and mean cosmos. I'll always be honest with you on what it is that we're up against, but I always feel like we do have a choice around how it is that we navigate this energy and how it is that we work with these aspects. So with that being said, these energies are not necessarily rainbows, butterflies, and sunshine. With Mars square Pluto, this can signal power struggles. This can signal people trying to lord their power over you, people trying to boss you around, people trying to tell you what to do, certain manipulation tactics, or people trying to steamroll you. And with Mercury square Saturn, there could be people having choice words with you. There could be bad feedback. There could be a lot of stress on your mental. There could be a need for you to enact boundaries over aforementioned people who are trying to lord their power over you. Of course, we will talk about how you can up-level these transits and how you can use them to your advantage, but it's important to know midweek that some people might have you a little messed up. Some coworkers, some friends, some partners might have you a little messed up, and it's going to take a decent amount of restraint for you not to sink to their level or play the game. Because ultimately, with Mars in Taurus, which is not a dignified position, it's important to safeguard and protect your peace. You will have a temptation this week to be petty. You will have a temptation to be petty. If someone cuts you off on the road, you could want to exact revenge on them by cutting them off, right? If a customer chews you out, you may want to chew them out right back. If a neighbor bangs on your wall telling you that your music is too loud, you very well may want to play it louder. Like, there is a certain temptation this week where you may want to get a little petty. And it's important to keep in mind with Mars square Pluto, at what cost? At what cost is this victory worth it? If I cut this person off who cut me off and they rear end me, was that temporary moment of making them mad worth it? If I chew out this customer who is chewing me out, will the subsequent disciplinary action from my boss be worth it? If I turn up the music louder when my neighbor asks to turn it down, will that temporary moment of satisfaction knowing that I annoyed them be worth the subsequent guilt around, gosh, it is kind of late and maybe they're just trying to sleep? You have to ask yourself, at what cost will this victory get me? As well as, is this conducive for my own peace? Like, sometimes you really got to just let things go. You got to realize it's not worth it in the end. No matter how satisfied you may feel in that temporary moment when you put that person in your place or you exact revenge or what have you, your peace is worth more than that temporary satisfaction. So this week, you may need to just let that person cut you off. You may need to just take it when this customer chews you out. You may need to just turn down the music when the neighbor is banging on the wall. Not because you're not in the right with whatever situation that you navigate this week, but because your peace is worth more. In addition to those lovely energies midweek, we also have a Mercury Cazimi this week, which means Sun conjunct Mercury. And what Mercury is doing right now is of the utmost importance due to how many planets we have currently transiting Gemini, and they're all answering to Mercury, who's in its domicile of Gemini. So Mercury is Mercurying. And what that means is that there's a lot of chatter, there could be a lot of gossip, there could be a lot of communication, and the communication that's either coming out, the message that's coming out, it can have far-reaching implications with the square to Saturn. So there's an ask this week to be very intentional with your word, as it may have consequences for better or for worse. Now, the weekend takes a shift for the mystical and the magic, with Venus squaring off with Neptune, which could have you wanting to escape into your own little world this weekend. Then Venus, the planet of love, ingresses into Cancer, taking us away from Venus in Gemini, which was flirty, which is all about bantering, to Venus in Cancer, which is all around the connections that feel like home, that feel like safety, that allow the fluctuations of your own emotions and your own undercurrents. So there's a lot to unpack with this week's astrology. There's a lot of ways that you can make this week's astrology, even though some of these energies aren't the most pleasant to navigate, you can make these aspects work for you. It's just important to be realistic with what's coming up this week, because doesn't Mercury square Saturn make us be realistic for better and for worse? But we will discuss all of this thematically as well as day by day. But before we do, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. I'm drinking a cup of breakfast blend drip coffee with a splash of Chobani coffee cake creamer. Absolutely delightful. Just need a little something sweet. Venus in Cancer always makes me think of baked goods, just because it's such a homey, nurturing, cozy energy. And since it's the end of spring, it's almost summertime, it's a little bit too warm to be making baked goods and getting the whole house warm when I turn on the oven. So I'm gonna settle for my coffee cake creamer, giving a little bit of that nurturing baked good feel without having to turn on my oven, because my house is so small that it does make the entire house warm up. So let me know below what you are sipping on to start your week. It's so natural when we have astrology like we do this week to have questions around how it's going to unfold for you. Or maybe you will have bigger picture questions around how bigger situations are going to play out within your life in general. Questions such as, will my financial situation improve? Will I reconcile with this family member? Is this person I'm dating someone who is trustworthy of giving my heart to? Whatever questions that are swirling within you, I want to recommend the service where I get my own personal psychic reading, which is the sponsor of this week's Magic Monday, Keen. Keen is an online psychic directory that links you to all sorts of talented healers, mystics, psychics who use their gifts in order to provide you relevant, accurate insights for whatever it is that you have questions on. I love Keen because I am a review girly. I am someone who does not feel comfortable and confident to book in with someone until I've read feedback from users just like me on what they got out of their time with these particular advisors. For me, when I scour the internet or scour Keen and read reviews from users just like me, it gives me a lot more peace of mind when I go into book, because I know what to expect and I know that these advisors provide an exemplary service. And whatever the question is that you are grappling with, whatever modality that you're hoping to connect with an advisor who specializes in, check out Keen. They have tons and tons amazing advisors on there who are more than happy to give you advice on whatever it is that you are navigating through, whether that's to a bigger picture within your life or playing out this particular week. I have a couple advisors on Keen that I regularly return to, but sometimes I'm in a bind and I just need insights in that particular moment. I can't go into too much detail on the full extent of the situation, but what I will say is that typically I do my readings on Keen by phone call. I just love to be able to hear somebody's voice and to be able to explain what it is that I'm moving through or what it is that I'm curious on. I feel like I express myself better through voice than I do through words. But I was in a sticky situation. Okay, I was in a sticky situation. I couldn't exactly take a phone call and I needed psychic insights at that moment. And luckily I was able to hop on Keen on my phone discreetly. Nobody even knew that I was looking for guidance on this particular particular situation, I was able to connect with someone who was online, and I was able to get exactly the information that I needed at that particular moment, all while other people probably just thought I was texting. Meanwhile, I was over here getting spiritual guidance. So whether you resonate more so by phone or more so by text, take a look at Keen, look at the different intuitives, mystics, healers, psychics that are available on the platform. See who it is that you're drawn to. Trust your intuition. If you're a review girly like me, read the feedback, read the reviews, pick who feels in alignment with you and your unique story, struggles, questions that you're grappling with at the moment. If you are new to Keen, you can get your first 5-minute reading for just $1 when you use my link, which is trykeen.com/Comet. Thank you so much, Keen, for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday, keeping our Mondays magical and keeping my questions answered. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. So welcome to Vibe Check of the Week, a segment that we do here on Magic Monday, where we essentially compare this week's astrology to a real life scenario. I essentially paint a picture via a hypothetical situation to help clue you into what may surface as you navigate your cute little world this week. I'm not saying this exact scenario will unfold, more so tune into the vibe, the emotion, the dynamic, in order to clue into what your week ahead may have in store. And this week's astrology feels like a situation where your coworker throws you under the bus. Have you ever been through something like that? So we'll say, for the sake of the vibe check, that you are an event planner. You can, of course, sub in the details that make it the most relevant and applicable to your world. But this week, you're an event planner. Walk with me. You're an event planner. You work at this small boutique agency, and you started around the same time as your coworker. We'll say, for the purpose of the vibe check, her name is Lydia. The two of you started together, and there was never a friendly vibe between the two of you. You two have always been competitive because it is a small agency. The two of you started at the same time, and you know that as soon as a spot in the company opens up for a position that's higher than coordinator, which is what you and Lydia are now, that it will be one of you. It cannot be both of you. So there's always been this neck and neck vibe between the two of you, and the two of you are always trying to one up one another. You plan and execute a 400-person event. Lydia plans and executes a 450-person event. Lydia gets great feedback from your boss on a client email, and then you get called out by your boss at a meeting for the amazing event that you held over the weekend and for staying late. It's like, it seems like the two of you are always neck and neck and just always jostling for that top spot, always jostling to show that you are more fit for leadership when that position emerges. So imagine your surprise when your boss lets you know that they have just booked a huge client and you will be putting on one of the biggest events that you ever have before. And you are so excited. This is your opportunity to prove yourself. But your boss says, hang on, because you are just a coordinator, I decided to pair you with Lydia so the two of you have one another, as this is such a huge event and this is such a big client. And you're like, great, okay, my favorite. But you're like, okay, I'm just gonna make the best of it. I'm gonna just put on the best event possible. I'm just gonna need to compartmentalize myself and just focus and put these personal feelings aside. But as expected, Lydia is really trying you on this project. She is trying to jostle for taking the lead on the project. She's trying to be the first one to respond in the client emails. She's trying to tell you what to do, like the little side projects that she doesn't want to do. She's trying to hand off to you. And the two of you are just battling for control, battling for power and for dominance on this particular event. And the weekend of the event, you and Lydia are there on site to allow it to unfold. And most of the event does unfold as planned. However, your heart sinks because you realize that there is no shrimp cocktail. There's no shrimp cocktail. And you know specifically within the mega email string that has the heads from the brand and your bosses and you and Lydia, of course, you remember that they had specifically requested that in the tray passes that there was shrimp cocktail. Now, it's not the biggest deal. There's other appetizers, but your heart is sinking. You're like, how is there not shrimp cocktail? So you're wondering where the mess up was. Was it on behalf of the chefs? Was it on the behalf of you and Lydia? Was there an issue with the seafood company where they weren't able to provide shrimp cocktail? Did the client get charged for shrimp cocktail even though it wasn't there? You don't know, but luckily the event itself does go off without a hitch, and the brand heads don't even specifically highlight that there wasn't shrimp cocktail. You're like, whatever, I'll let it go. Maybe they had just told Lydia that and she had arranged no shrimp cocktail. Maybe they decided it wasn't a big deal. Maybe maybe there was a mistake and they just didn't notice. Either way, I'm not going to say anything, right? The event went great. And so imagine your surprise when you get to your office and you get an email from your lovely coworker, Lydia, and it's not just individual. Nope, it's on that entire email string with the heads from the brand, with your bosses. There's like 18 people on this email string, CC'd, all there, and it's from Lydia. And she throws you under the bus. She says, the event went great. I managed and executed it to perfection. Unfortunately, there was no shrimp cocktail there, which was the error of my coworker, specifically calling you out in front of the client and in front of your bosses. And you are racking your brain because you're like, no, I didn't put in the order with the catering company. Like, this was not my doing. And you are furious. You want to automatically get on this email string with 18 people and give Lydia a piece of your mind, as well as find all of the receipts around how this was not your doing whatsoever. You didn't even put in the order with the catering company. Lydia did that. And even though there's other events that really need your focus at this moment, you end up spending the entire morning pulling receipts, pulling all of the facts that back you up around, no, this was not my doing. This was not my fault that there was not shrimp cocktail. And you end up typing up this very strongly worded email that refutes what Lydia says and asserts that it was her fault with all of the documentation that proves your point. And right before you hit send, you're like, okay, wait, let me just go for a walk and then I'll come back and I'll send it. Let me just make sure I have a clear head when I send this email. And you decide on this walk that it is just not worth it, and that maybe in this situation, as satisfying as it would be to prove to your bosses and to this client that it was not your fault, you decide this isn't a great look for your company. So you decide to just keep it classy, keep it professional, thank the brand for working with your company, congratulate the entire team on an event well executed, and apologize for wherever the miscommunication occurred that prevented the shrimp cocktail from being at that event. And that's the email that you decide to send, and you put the other one, the strongly worded one, with all of the receipts and all of the screenshots and the documentation, you put that one into the trash. And the client replies right away, and you're so nervous to read this email. Are they going to chew you guys out? Are they going to refuse to play at events with your agency ever again? But that's not what the email says. They say, oh, no big deal. We didn't even notice the shrimp cocktail. We loved working with you guys and are excited to plan our next gala with you all. No big deal. Now Lydia looks kind of dumb, like throwing you under the bus and making it this whole thing when the client didn't even worry or care. However, you haven't heard from your boss yet or the agency CEO, who were also CC'd on Lydia's lovely email calling you out and throwing you under the bus on an event that the two of you planned. And so your boss calls you into their office and sits you down, and you are just ready to be chewed out and told how irresponsible it was that you didn't put in the order for shrimp cocktail, that it wasn't at the event, and you're ready to defend yourself. You do have the receipts, you do have the screenshots if your boss requests them, but instead your boss says, I love the way you handled that situation. What Lydia did was very unprofessional. Like, we as an agency, we are a team, and that was not the sort of behavior that I would feel comfortable having an account manager take on. So we've decided to offer you the role of account manager here at this small boutique agency. And you are overjoyed. And every part of you wants to leave your boss's office and skip right over to Lydia's desk and tell her the news herself and say, I got the promotion, I win, you lose, take that. But you decide, just as you did earlier in the week, to show restraint, to keep it professional, to keep it classy, to keep it cute. And this week's astrology may ask you to do the same, even if the specific situation differs. Because with Mars square Pluto, there could be temptations this week to sink to someone's level, right? Someone does us dirty, we want to do them dirtier. Someone throws us under the bus, we want to throw them under the bus. There can be a temptation to have that temporary gratification of revenge. But ultimately, there is an ask to let success be your revenge. Sometimes the best course of action is not taking action at all. As mad as you are in that moment, as much as you want to retaliate, as much as you want to throw this person under the bus, sometimes you have to exercise restraint, which is woven into the vibe check with Mercury square Saturn, right? That energy around, let me not press send on this email, right? Let me think about the big picture with the energy of Saturn. It doesn't feel good to not be able to stand up for myself, but eye on the prize in terms of the reputation I want to uphold as a professional, as well as the reputation of this agency overall. I need to just say sorry, even though I didn't do it, in order to present a unified front for the company. And that's not always easy to do. Like we talked about last week, with Sun and Venus squaring Saturn, it's still separating the cosmos. Sometimes there's a little bit of a punch to our ego, right? Where our ego wants to stand up for ourselves and defend and throw Lydia under the bus. Sometimes we have to think long term and just bite the bullet in that moment and let our focus be on the big picture, right? With the energy of Saturn, the big picture reputation you are wanting to cultivate for yourself as a professional, as well as the brand of your agency, right? And Mercury square Saturn, in addition to being the energy of exercising restraint around, ooh, I want to tell this person off, I want to give them a piece of my mind, but I'm just going to exercise restraint, I'm just going to keep it cool, I'm just going to keep it classy for now, right? It's also the energy around opening your screen on Monday morning and seeing that email, right? Calling you out. Mercury square Saturn can sometimes be a bad news transit, right? Hearing something that you don't necessarily want to hear, reading something that you don't necessarily want to hear. But it's important, whatever news is coming out, and there might be some, especially with this week's Mercury Cazimi, it's really important that you strive to remain grounded and level-headed before responding. Because with Mercury square Saturn, our words can carry consequences. So we need to be very intentional with how it is that we leverage them this week. So as we transition into our day-by-day horoscope, I just want to make a couple of quick notes. The first being that any time that I mention is under the time zone PDT or Pacific time, as I am located in California. Please adjust to your time zone, as many of these energies may land at a different time or even a different day than the one that I state based on where it is that you are located within this world. I also want to let you know I am ruled by Mercury, so I'm sensitive to what Mercury is up to, and Mercury is now zipping in its domicile of Gemini, which doesn't help my already talking at a pretty quick pace. So please feel free to utilize the gear icon here on YouTube to slow me down if you'd like, or you can speed me up. If you're vibing with all this Gemini mercurial energy and you want to speed me up, feel free. Luckily, YouTube makes that option for you. I also want to let you know, for your convenience, I've added timestamps below where you could advance to a particular day's forecast or take it back to a particular day. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology for Monday, June 10th. Happy Monday, happy Magic Monday at that. I want to let you know that when it comes to Monday's horoscope, the moon is in Leo all day long, and Leo is a very sunny, creative, confident, heart-centered energy, and some of you could be feeling inspired to create, to communicate with the Leo moon sextile Mercury and Gemini at 7:35 p.m. Some of you could be creating with your words, you could be writing, you could be filming, you could be recording, you could be writing poetry. Like, Leo is really the energy around what lights us up, and there could be certain things that you are inspired by today, certain conversations that are making you feel more lit up, more inspired. Even as it relates to just your work day, there could be an energy around being able to allow yourself to be seen, to step into your leadership, and to communicate as such with the sextile to Mercury. So some of you are going to feel that energy. Some of you very well may not be feeling that. And the reason for that is that the Leo moon is answering to the Gemini sun, who is separating from a square to Saturn, which happened over the weekend. So you can get dialed into this energy by checking out last week's Magic Monday. But what you need to know for Monday is that there can be a certain energy of feeling blah. You could be not feeling it. And that could be an energy around not really in the mood to work and having to work, or just having other responsibilities or obligations that are sort of just cramping your style. Maybe you're wanting to create, you're feeling inspired, but you're feeling suffocated because there's other arenas of your life that your energy is having to go to. And it's giving kind of this blah energy. Some of you could also be in your own head overthinking, not really feeling into your confidence. Like maybe you are communicating at work, but you're like kind of in your head around, did I say that right? With the squares to Saturn currently alive in the cosmos, Venus separating its square to Saturn, Sun separating its square to Saturn, Mercury building to its square to Saturn, sometimes we can be feeling a little bit humbled by life. Saturn ultimately does teach us, and we are in the season of the eternal student Gemini, but some of these lessons that we are learning and that we are integrating are not the most easy to deal with. Nevertheless, we are still learning. And Gemini season reminds us, if we are learning, we are living. But all we can do is take the lesson and keep it moving. And on Monday particularly, it's important in these moments where we do feel humbled or blocked or restricted, it's important to step into that role around being our own best cheerleader, our own best hype man, our own best hype woman. And that process of hyping yourself up, whether that's through affirmations, through journaling, maybe this is even talking to the person in your life who just feels like sunshine in human form, who always remembers who it is that you are in those moments that you forget you're a baddie. that you forget you are that person, like that person you can call up and who can remind you, even in those moments that you feel a little humbled by life, your confidence feels a little challenged. And there's an ask on Monday to intentionally source out what will hype you up or what will recharge your energy. Maybe that's creating for some of you. Maybe if there's a little bit of stressful day in the morning time, maybe Monday night's really important for you to reclaim your sunshine, do things that make you feel alive and charged up, listening to your favorite albums, painting, collaging, whatever it is that's like charging up your radiance. Because on Tuesday around midnight, so we're going to feel this on Monday as well, we have Venus sextile Chiron. And that's what's nice about this week's astrology, and I haven't really gotten into this energy yet, is that yes, there can be some humbling moments. Sun and Venus are separating from Saturn. Mercury is currently building to square Saturn. We're in the season of the eternal student Gemini. We're learning lots of lessons, some more pleasant to deal with than others, that's for certain. And there can be certain blows to the ego, or bad news, or harsh feedback that's making us feel a little ouch. But what I will say about this week's astrology that's quite special, this week is giving us the healing balm. And we see this with Sun and Venus sextile Chiron, which is this energy around being able to pour healing ointment on the wounds of whatever is feeling a little ouch. Whether it's our mind, whether it's our confidence, whether it's our soul, whatever's feeling a little ouch, we do have this accessible lifeline to be able to regenerate ourselves or to step into healing. And really with the energy of Venus sextile Chiron, this lands on Tuesday, but again, you have access to it on Monday. It's healing through creativity or creating more beautiful things out into the world. So I just feel like the combination of Leo moon sextile Mercury and then Venus building to sextile Chiron, if you are having an off day, it's important to remember it's not off life, and do the things that help you recharge your sunshine. Do the things that make you feel alive, that put more beauty out into this world, even if you had an ugly day, okay? And the other energy I just want you to be mindful of is that Mars in Taurus squares off with Pluto very early on Tuesday. So this also could be an energy that you're kind of feeling. And again, people could be being quite competitive with you. Whether that is on the road, whether that is at work, you could find that people are relentlessly driving their own point home or wanting to win arguments, even if they're inconsequential at the end of the day. Like you could be feeling this energy around your partner going above and beyond to like prove to you, no, you forgot to unload the dishwasher. And it's like, hey, we're on a team together. It's not me versus you. We're on a team. Why aren't you giving me point A, point B, point C around all of the reasons why it was my responsibility to unload the dishwasher? Why don't we just do it together? I feel like if we just did it together, it would take less time than you presenting your argument around why I should have done it and how I didn't do it or what have you. There could just be an energy where people are trying you and people's rage could feel intense and even beyond what the situation would even warrant. There could also be an energy with Mars square Pluto that you could find you're a little bit more predisposed to burning out. Like I said, with Mars now newly in Taurus, it's very important to reasonably allocate your energy and to allocate your energy into what it is that you truly value. So if someone's trying you or trying to compete with you or trying to fight with you, Mars in Taurus asks you, do I care? Do I value having this argument enough to fight back? Or do I just need to protect my peace? To fight for what it is that I truly value. Like, do I care about this person at the grocery store who gave me a dirty look? No, maybe I can let that go. Do I care to fight relentlessly with my partner on the freaking dishes? No, maybe I should just let this go. Your peace means more. Really weigh out the cost of the victory versus the cost of peace. And I guarantee your peace is more valuable than whatever winning this argument will entail. And so on Monday, just important to be mindful of that, to check in with yourself before you lash out, and to be intentional with where you are investing your energy. There could be an energy with Mars square Pluto where we get very stubborn in our own way around, no, this is what I was going to do, or I need to prove this point. And with the square to Pluto, we could be burning ourselves out or wanting to win regardless of what it may cost. And that's where it's important to just protect your peace. Again, if it's not going to allow you to show up as your sunniest, most radiant self with the energy of Leo moon, maybe it's not worth advocating for it. And again, success is the best revenge. As well as success can sometimes just look like being a happy, radiant person. You know how much that bothers people who are your enemies or who are your ops or who are preying on your downfall when you are just happy, when they can't get to you? Like that gets under their skin more so than you meeting them at their petty level. So just bear that in mind and prioritize your own peace. So on Tuesday, June 11th, shortly after midnight at 12:12 a.m. to be exact, Venus and Gemini will sextile Chiron in Aries. And what you need to know about this energy is that it's very soft. It's very subtle. Sextiles are an opportunity aspect. And this is not an opportunity that every single one of us needs to take. But those of you who I would recommend taking the opportunity of Venus sextile Chiron is those who could have dealt with some disappointments over the weekend. Venus squared off with Saturn this past weekend, which could have led to some reality checks around our love lives, around our finances, around our beauty, around our value, not all of which were pleasant. Maybe some of these reality checks were quite aligned around really being able to review our relationship to see if it's going the distance. Saturn is commitment. Maybe it was reviewing our finances and putting ourselves on a budget. Like, not all reality checks necessarily need to be disappointing, but for some of us, they very well could have been. And Venus sextile Chiron is this opportunity to rub healing balm on whatever unpleasant reality you had to confront over this past weekend. And this sort of gives an energy. If the disappointment came in via a connection within your life, this is sort of the energy around the let them theory, if you've seen that circulating around, which is basically a realm of thought around if somebody is going to disappoint you, let them. If someone's going to forget to call you, let them. If someone's going to fumble you, let them. And it's not this energy around just be passive and let people treat you however. It's just this energy around taking a step back and being like, if this person is going to forget to call me, they forgot to call me. That's an unpleasant reality that I need to confront square in the face. And as we confront the reality of the situation, that does create the first step towards healing. Even if it hurts, like, ouch. This person didn't call when they said that they would. That means I was not on their mind. That means that they must not love me or like me, which is unpleasant to acknowledge. But with the sextile to Chiron, it is helping me heal, right? It's getting me out of any sort of delulu. We'll talk about delulu in a second. When I let people treat me like they're going to treat me or act like they're going to act, because that's who it is that they are, that allows me to heal and to move forward, whether it's with this person or whether it's on my own, right? And with the let them theory, it's basically this energy around if someone said that they're going to call you and they didn't, let them not call you. Don't remind them like, hey, you said you were going to call. It's just that energy around, let me see if you can really show up for the commitments or the promises that you make for me. Let me see how it is that you treat me naturally without me begging you to treat me in a certain way. It's just this energy around stepping back, not from this manipulative standpoint, but just this energy around, let me just see how you're going to treat me naturally, or the energy that you're going to put into this connection naturally. And rather than me going above and beyond, reminding you, hey, you said you were going to call me at 8. And see, it's just energy around, you're going to put forth the energy that you're going to put forth. Maybe is some of that disappointing? Yes, and sometimes we have to rip the Band-Aid off or like allow ourselves to be hurt or to be disappointed or confront the reality square on the face in order to genuinely heal and in order to genuinely progress forward. So if you had a disappointing situation this past weekend, Venus sextile Chiron is giving you the soft flow of energy to allow healing into your heart, to realize the lessons that you learned from that particular situation, and to ultimately keep it moving, to remind yourself, I was fine before this person, I will be fine after this person, or wherever it is that you could have experienced a Venusian disappointment, a client didn't sign with you and you thought that they were going to, or a photo was taken of you and it was so unflattering that now you just feel like the ugliest person ever. Like wherever you felt this Venus disappointment over the weekend, the sting energy, with Venus sextile Chiron, it's allowing whatever punctures in your heart that created, it's choosing to fill them with love, deep self-love, deep belief in yourself, treasuring yourself, recognizing how valuable you are. Like I said with yesterday's Leo moon, sometimes you got to hype yourself up, right? You might be like, dang, if I was prettier and if I was better, then that person would have remembered to call me over the weekend. But with the Venus sextile Chiron, it's like, who wouldn't want to talk to me on the phone, right? Like they're lost, like they fumbled, like, and that's fine. And it's important this week because over the weekend we have Venus square Neptune. So we had a reality check last weekend and then we have Delulu land this weekend. It's so fascinating having Venus talking to both these planets. So there could have been an energy where last weekend, this person forgot to call and you could convince yourself this upcoming weekend that they went on safari and that a jaguar ate their phone, or that they are so overwhelmed with their love and appreciation for you that they can't even call you because they can't see your name because it's just so overwhelming. Like Venus square Neptune, as we get closer to it this weekend, can have us dreaming people to be whatever it is that we want them to be. We could be viewing people through rose-colored glasses and allowing the reality check for the past weekend around this person did not call when they said that they were going to fade into the background. Or if they do call, being like, well, it doesn't matter that they didn't fulfill that promise because look, they're here now and we're going to run off and everything's going to be fine. With the energy of Venus squared Neptune, it could be all too easy to almost like gaslight yourself or to convince yourself that the reality check was not the true reality check, that the cell phone was eaten by a jaguar, that the emotion was so strong that they couldn't reach out to you. I'm not saying everybody needs to cut everybody off or that everybody's being delusional. I'm just saying Venus is separating from its square to Saturn, where we could have had to look something square in the face around ultimately our big picture values are different, or ultimately you did not call me, or ultimately you are not treating me well. And it could be all too easy as Venus approaches and applies its square to Neptune to begin to delude yourself, to begin to look at the situation through rose-colored glasses, to convince yourself that the reality check that you saw with Saturn wasn't real. So it's really important with the subtle flow to Chiron that you stay centered in self, around what it is that you are worthy of your own value, and what it is that you want within love and relationships. Do you want a connection that makes you feel anxious and have to sit by the phone? Probably not. Right? And with Venus sextile Chiron, it's allowing that healing to come into your heart, even through that disappointment. Understanding the wrong person fumbling you opens up the space for the right person to enter into your life. And it's loving yourself so much so that you are willing to really take the data from these reality checks and allow that data to inform your next steps, as painful as that can be sometimes. And so just knowing that that energy is alive within your Tuesday, you may even feel this on Monday as well. Also on Tuesday at 6:21 a.m. PDT, Mars and Taurus will square off with Pluto and Aquarius, which can be infusing our Tuesday with a bit of competitive energy. People could be more mad. People could have more rage. If you work with the general public today, you can feel like the worst, ugliest parts of human nature are on full display. You could just be trying to make people sandwiches and have someone screaming in your face because you guys are out of turkey. And you're like, is this what matters to you? And again, probably to a bigger picture, no. And who knows what's going on in that person's life where they feel like it's appropriate to scream at someone who's just trying to make them a sandwich. But there is an energy with Mars and Taurus where we feel very vindicated. We feel very in the right. We feel very stubbornly attached around, no, I'm in the right. They should have turkey. I'm here to get this particular sandwich. It's the only kind of sandwich I can get. And with the square to Pluto, we're willing to go to whatever length in order to prove our point because we feel like we are in the right. But again, not every victory is ultimately worth it. Like maybe you will win by screaming at this person who's making you a sandwich until they call the other locations and the other location brings them over turkey. But at that point, it's going to be many, many hours. And is it worth it? Is it a wise usage of your time and of your energy? You could feel this energy of Tuesday where a lot of things are getting under your skin. And there could be a temptation to want to react, to want to exact revenge, right? This was the energy of Lydia throwing you under the bus in that email, right? Trying to advance, get what she wants via some shady tactics with the square to Pluto. And it's really important to be intentional with where it is that you place your energy and to know not every situation warrants a response. Your energy is your currency. And sometimes when you feed into a conflict, you feed into a trauma, you feed into a hater energy, you are giving that person energetically exactly what they want. So if you've been in a competitive one-up battle with someone, they want you to keep feeding that beef. And sometimes the most powerful thing that you could do is step back and do absolutely nothing. If someone posted something because they wanted to get under your skin or they wanted you to see it, sometimes the most powerful thing that you could do is just not give it any mind, not give it any of your attention, because your peace means more. And then from an energetic level, it doesn't matter if you're giving someone a good response or a bad response, you're still feeding them energy, which is your currency. Pay them dust. pay them no mind. If someone's trying to compete with you, if someone's trying to one-up you, really resist the temptation to want to meet them on their level. They sneak diss you in an Instagram story or something of that nature, so you put something on your Instagram story about them. It's just feeding this destructive loop of energy. And there's just an ask, especially with Venus sextile Chiron earlier in the day, around choosing peace, prioritizing peace, and feeling how healing choosing peace can be. And with Mars square Pluto, you also can be experiencing some burnout this week. I want to say that just with Mars square Pluto and Mercury square Saturn, you could have a really busy week of work. There could just be a lot that you're having to do. And with the energy of Mars square Pluto, you could be pushing and overexerting your body in this aim around, no, I've got to get this done. I've got to get it done my way. And it's important to remember to rest. It's important to remember to take breaks. There can be an energy with Mars square Pluto around wanting to win, to get what it is that we want at all costs. And you could be overexerting your body with Mercury square Saturn. You could be stressing out your mind. Sometimes, especially if you're frustrated, the best thing that you could do is take a break, okay? The best thing that you could do is take a break. Like, you really are not showing up as your most powerful aligned self when you are doing something with gritted teeth or, I've got to do this. Sometimes if you're experiencing a lot of resistance, the best thing that you could do, take a nap, eat a snack, and get back to it tomorrow. Like with Mars square Pluto, we could be so eye on the prize that we're willing to put in whatever hour, put in whatever amount of time necessary. We're willing to push our bodies to the absolute brink. And sometimes that's not always helpful nor productive. The energy of Mars square Pluto, if you are feeling rage, because literally some of us could be feeling this rage energy, and it might not be one big thing. It could just be a lot of small things that are building up and building up and building up. It's important to have some sort of release with Mars square Pluto, and that release can be screaming into a pillow. That release can be taking a workout class. It might be really helpful to alchemize some energy physically to get it out of your body so you're not holding on to it. Because the energy of, Mars being in Taurus as an energy is chill until they're not. If you've never been on a Taurus's bad side, when they get mad, right? And with Mars square Pluto, if we allow things to build up, that final issue that has us messed up might be the thing where we just want to explode, right? Like maybe that lady who yelled at you while you were making sandwiches, she had a lot of really frustrating things that happened, and it just so happened that you were the final straw, right? And she just needed to yell at someone, so she yelled at you. And again, that's never appropriate. Please do not yell at people. Please do not be short with people, particularly if it's coming from a place around you feeling frustrated and overwhelmed and stressed within your own life and just needing an outlet. Scream into a pillow. Go into the forest and scream. Take a kickboxing class. Do something that does not create harm on other individuals nor yourself. It's important with Mars square Pluto to alchemize anger, to not suppress it, because that's where it can get lethal and really ugly, is when we're holding on, and then finally a final straw happens and we just snap, we just latch out. And it's really important, like Mars is our energy, and our energy is our currency, like I said. And with a square to Pluto, you may feel temptations to want to put it into things that are manipulative or sneaky, or people who are trying to fight with you or trying to one-up you. But again, continue to ask yourself, is this worth it? Is this worth it? Is this worth it? And before you act, go for a walk, take a kickboxing class. You will see the world differently after you release some energy from your physical body. If you're in a situation like the vibe check, where you have a coworker who's always trying to compete with you, you have a friend who's always trying to one-up you, you have someone in your life who's trying to tell you what to do, it's important not to sink to their level. Keep your head held high and continue to act in accordance to your own integrity and your own value system, and know that your success will be your revenge. Being a happy person will be your revenge. You do not need to fight and compete and one-up in order to prove your worth to other people or to yourself. And if people are showing you this very ugly, very manipulative, very competitive energy, again, let them. Because people want you to meet you at that energy. If someone's yelling at you and you're talking to them completely calm, it makes them even more mad, because people want to elicit that Plutonian shadow side rage energy out of you. They want you to meet them at the level that they're operating. And it will bother them so much more when you refuse to give them a reaction whatsoever. Ooh, that gets under their skin. You are refusing to play their game. You are refusing to sink to their level. Because again, positive reaction or negative reaction, if they are getting your energy, they're getting what it is that they want from you. And with Mars square Pluto, I mean, to be dramatic, but this could be sort of like energy vampire type energy. People who are feeding off of you and perhaps eliciting energy from you via negativity, right? Via insulting you, via trying to compete with you, via trying to one up you, via trying to tell you what to do. And just refuse to play that game. Because if you yell back, if you meet them at their level, you are giving them exactly what it is that they want. Energy knows no difference between positive energy, negative energy. You're still feeding them the most valuable resource you have, which is your energy. So if someone is trying to elicit a response from you, someone's trying to sneak diss you at work, someone's posting something to get under your skin, let them. Focus on living your most happy, your most aligned life. Because I'll tell you one thing, when you are living your happiest, most aligned, most abundant life, you don't have to throw people under the bus. You don't have to try to compete with people. You don't try to get a rise out of people. You just mind your business and you just mind your happy life. So just understand when people are exemplifying this shadowy sort of behavior, that really just represents the mental and energetic disarray that they are in, and try not to sink to that level. Energetically, they could be feeding off of you when you sink to that level. So protect your peace, mind your business. And the lunar aspects echo this as well, because the Leo moon will sextile the Gemini sun, it'll sextile Venus in Gemini, it'll also trine Chiron in Aries. So it is this ask, especially in the morning, to do what puts you into the sunniest place possible. Like again, with the square to Pluto, there could be a lot of shade. Where there's shade, there's sunshine. So the more you shine, yes, it will attract some shade. The reason people are trying to compete with you is because they consider you someone who is in some ways a threat, right? That's why they're trying to compete you. That's why they're trying to knock you down a peg. And with the energy of Leo moon, it's just allowing yourself to continue to shine, or even shine more. They hate to see that. I tell some of my clients who are starting off on social media, I'm like, celebrate the first time you get a hate comment, because that means you're being seen, right? You're being seen. If people are hating on you, yes, it doesn't feel good, but you can alchemize that energy. Something my mentor taught me is how to alchemize the energy. She said, every time I see a comment where someone is being mean to me, tearing me apart, saying this, that, and the third, to play a cha-ching sound in my head. So like every time I read one, I just hear a cha-ching, which is meant to represent that that person has just paid me the most valuable currency they have, which is their energy. They have taken time out of their precious day to give me some of their energy. Yes, it was negative energy, but what I say earlier, negative or positive, energy is energy. And if you are somebody who is skilled in the energetic realm of things, you can alchemize that. So to me, playing that sound of cha-ching every time I read a hate comment has helped me realize, wow, this person has taken sacred time out of their day to pay me some energy, which ultimately helps me in the algorithm. It helps me continue to get my work out there for people who are in energetic match. It helped me transmute my own relationship to the hater energy that people are throwing out there sometimes. So if you are wanting to get on social media, you are on social media, and there's some troll-like energy, Mars square Pluto can definitely create more of that. And we have Mercury square Saturn. Yeah, some of us are going to read some comments or get some emails where it's like, this is how you spend your time, is tearing people apart online. Okay, you're not on the internet. You would be shocked at the amount of things that people feel comfortable telling another human being, taking their valuable time to tell another human being. It is absolutely ridiculous, but nevertheless, with energy of Mars square Pluto, it's allowing yourself to alchemize that energy that they're throwing your way. With Mercury square Saturn, some of us could be a little ouch. Is that how people see me? Is that how they think? But with Mars square Pluto, it's just remembering energy is energy. Alchemize it and continue to pour it into what lights you up with the energy of Leo moon. That could be healing with its trine to Chiron. Tuesday may have some surprises, and we see this with the Leo moon squaring off with Uranus at 12:16 p.m. So again, there could be record scratch moments, things that are unexpected, someone unexpectedly throwing you under the bus, something of that nature. The moon is void pretty much for the rest of the day until 10:39 p.m. I feel this energy is going to manifest very literally for some, is that there may be something that you're trying to get done on Tuesday, maybe at work, maybe in a different arena of your life, and it feels like you are just banging your head against the wall because you could just not get this done. You could just not succeed. You feel like you can not win. And Mars square Pluto could have you wanting to try over and over and over again at any cost, wanting to get this done because you're so dead set around, no, I need to get this done. Even if with the moon squaring Uranus, there's technical difficulties, or the person that you need to sign this off isn't here, and so you're trying to run around and track them down because you're like, no, I need to get this signed today, or I need to get this done today. With Mars square Pluto, you could just feel like you are unable and unwilling to accept defeat. And it's not accepting defeat if you rest, right? If you recognize, I have been trying to get a signature from this person all day. I've wasted the entire day trying to track this person down. And now I'm just so frustrated and so overwhelmed that I need to just take a pause, right? Because your energy is your currency, like I said. And sometimes when we're in a state where we are just so burnt out, we're so frustrated around this is what I need to do, I need to get this done. Sometimes this at all costs energy can make us overexert ourselves. And sometimes the best thing that we could do is be like, okay, energetically, I'm approaching this from a very frustrated, burnt out standpoint. Let me nap. Let me go for a walk. Let me eat something. Because when you take care of your energy, sometimes you can find that things flow much easier. If you take a break, you nap, you eat something, and then you reach out to this person again. They're like, oh, I'm here. You get a signature, easy as cake. Like sometimes when you are trying to get something done and you are so dead set around, I need to do this now, whatever it takes, sometimes you could just be stressing yourself out more, making things harder and harder because you're approaching it from a very frustrated, burnt out state of mind. Sometimes you got to just take care of yourself first, rest, don't give up, and then allow yourself to continue on. And the moon will enter Virgo at 10:39 p.m., which draws our awareness to our day-to-day routines, rituals, responsibilities. On Wednesday, Mercury's day, there is a strong emphasis on Mercury. Let me count the ways. We're currently in a Mercury-ruled sun sign season. We currently have the moon transiting another Mercury-ruled sign, Virgo. We have a Mercury aspect on Wednesday. So there's a lot of emphasis on Mercury, which of course is the planet of communication and the mind. And with the energy of Mercury square Saturn, our minds can be hurting our feelings. And for some of us, we could just be feeling a little bit more stressed. We could have more on our plate. We could have more on our mind. We could be feeling a little overwhelmed by everything that we need to get done. This was like subtly worked into the vibe check around there's other events that you need to be prioritizing. Like rather than building a catalog of receipts around all of the ways that Lydia fumbled the shrimp cocktail, like you have enough on your plate as it is. That is not something that's worthy of you fighting for, especially when there's other matters that demand your attention. Like with Mercury square Saturn, a lot of us can just have a lot on our mind. And sometimes if you're in that space where you are feeling burnt out, you have a lot to get done, you're on deadline. Sometimes your worry around the situation can make you even more overwhelmed and more stressed and less productive. Like sometimes when you think about, then I have to do this, and then I have to do this, and then I have this due, and I have this due, it's taking you away from being able to tackle your to-do list. Like you're wasting all of this unnecessary energy around stressing all that you need to get done rather than doing the things. And like I was saying with energy yesterday, sometimes the best thing that you could do for your mind, for your mental health, is to take a pause. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, Haley, Comet, but I'm on deadline. I have A, B, and C. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is go for a quick walk, is eat a snack, is take a nap. Because when you're in that space where you're not able to get anything done because you're so stressed, you're so overwhelmed, you're so mad, you're so frustrated, whatever the vibe is, you're not the most efficient, you're not the most accomplished, you're not the most focused. So sometimes when we show up for our energy first, we get the to-dos done when we allow ourselves to get into energetic alignment before we take on the to-do list. So that may be something important to keep in mind. And for some of us, there are some messages that are coming out today that are not what we wanted to hear, but may be what we needed to hear. It's important to know that for us to learn, as we're in Gemini season, it's important that we have people in our lives who will be honest with us. Like it really does not behoove us to be surrounded by yes men in any capacity. If we're surrounded by yes men, people who validate everything that we do or say regardless on its merit, we deny ourselves the opportunity to learn. Like we do need people in our lives who are willing to be honest with us, hopefully with love in their hearts and genuine intentions of doing so. We need those friends who are willing to be straight up with us. We need those comments that are willing to give us constructive criticism. We need those bosses who will let us know opportunities to grow. Is it a little bit of an ouch when someone tells you something that you could be doing better? Absolutely. But are they giving you the codes to your own success? Absolutely. And the Virgo moon all day on Wednesday echoes that, as Virgo is a very detail-oriented, improvement-based sign. And to Virgo energy, and this is where they get in trouble sometimes, to Virgo energy, to tell you the ways that you could be showing up better, that is a gift. That is an act of love. Does it hurt to hear sometimes? Absolutely. But with the energy of Virgo, it's like, I want to be my best. I want you to be your best. These are the ways in which you could grow in order to move towards that. So you might find that you get a piece of feedback on Wednesday that's a little bit of an ouch, but again, being able to take the data, some of which could actually be helping you progress and move forward with the square to Saturn, and take it as a learning opportunity. That evening at 11:24 p.m., the Gemini sun will sextile Chiron in Aries, and this is rubbing a healing balm on our own ego. And it's allowing yourself to be a student at life. Like, it's not taking yourself so seriously. It's not expecting yourself to be perfect. It's honoring there are things I could be doing better in. There are things I can improve within. And it's not seeing every time that someone tells you an area that you can grow in as a direct attack. If anything, it can be a tool that you can leverage in order to be your best self. And with Sun sextile Chiron, it's not expecting yourself to be perfect. It's allowing yourself to be teachable, to take the data and to keep it moving, as well as to do things that make you feel confident. You know, with the energy of Mercury square Saturn, some of us could be mentally going through it a little bit. You could be being kind of hard on yourself. You could be stressing out over unnecessary details with the energy of the Virgo moon. And it might be important Wednesday night, this will be separating on Thursday morning, to do things that allow yourself to feel confident. Like, let's say Mercury square Saturn, you made a work mistake. Let's say you did forget to order the shrimp cocktail. With Mercury square Saturn, you could be stressing yourself out, going over and over, how did I do this to myself, beating yourself up. And with Sun sextile Chiron, it's just like coming back to the truth around, my job is not who it is that I am. Like, this mistake does not define me. If I can learn from it, if I could do better next time, this is not something I need to continually take on and beat myself up about. And even though constructive criticism can be helpful and it can be coming our way on Wednesday, I do want to say not every piece of constructive criticism that can be given today is constructive criticism that you necessarily need to take on. Because like I said, hater behavior is at a high this week. With Mars square Pluto, sometimes people are hating just to hate, okay? And that's where we have to exercise discernment around who it is that we are genuinely taking advice from. That's why it's important to have those people within your life who you know will be honest and be straight up with you. It's not giving everybody who says something snarky to you the full power to dictate where it is that you can be doing better. There is an ask to be discerning with where it is that you are taking criticism from. Again, they always say, don't take criticism from people you would not take advice from. Like, it's important to, vet the sources of who's dispelling said constructive criticism. But with Mercury square Saturn, there can be gems that are found within, particularly if it's honest conversations with those whose opinions and perspectives you trust and who you respect. And on Wednesday, with the Virgo moon trining Mars in Taurus around 3:30 a.m., important day to get up and to be proactive, to handle what it is that you can. Again, there's a lot on your mind. You're going to feel very distracted. You might feel all over the place. You might be so busy stressing about the to-do list that you're not even doing the to-do list. And we see that with the Virgo moon squaring Jupiter in Gemini around 6:49 a.m. It's important to have your list, and as you notice your mind freaking out around, I have to do this and I have to do this, come back. With Mars and Taurus, one step at a time. Try not to overwhelm yourself. Try not to get ahead of yourself. Strive to be very present as you do this task, and then trust as soon as you're done with this task, it'll lead to the next one. It'll lead to the next one. Stressing out is not helping the situation. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Haley, Comet, stress is not necessarily a light switch that I can flick on and off. I would say it will be very helpful, both Tuesday and Wednesday, to move your physical body. Like, as a Virgo moon myself, that is my biggest piece of advice for anyone else who has strong Virgo placements, and for all of us as we navigate this week's astrology with this cosmic lineup. It's really important to get into your body. We have a lot of mercurial energy, so our mind could be quite busy. And again, with Mercury square Saturn, our overthinking can be hurting our feelings. Our stressing can be taxing our mind and taking away from our productivity. We can just feel like we're in a more negative headspace. So it could be helpful to get into your physical body in order to calm the mind. I'm telling you, you do not see the work project the same after you go for a workout. You do not see the argument that you had with your friend after you go for a walk. Like, sometimes it really helps to blow off steam by getting into your physical body and then coming back to the problem with a fresh mind. On Thursday, June 13th, Mercury will sextile Chiron around 7 p.m. And I love all these sextiles to Chiron that we're having because while we're having some reality checks, while we're having some constructive criticism, the cosmos is also giving us healing balm in order to not take it so seriously. Because that's the real key to navigating Gemini season, is to not take it so seriously and to reach for comedy in those moments where it is available. Like on one hand, it's so disrespectful that this person at the sandwich shop is screaming at you because you do not have turkey. But on the other hand, like being able to have that moment around being like, this is so bizarre. I cannot believe a grown woman is screaming at me over a lunch meat. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, it can be helpful, like with the Sun sextile Chiron, which happened late last night, early this morning, based on where it is that you're located. And now Mercury sextile Chiron, is to find the humor in it, as frustrating as that situation was and as serious it felt in the moment. Like being able to recount that story and laugh about it with a friend, it decreases the serious vibe of it. You're able to laugh at it. You're able to find the lesson in it. You're able to find the lightness in it. Even journaling about the experiences that you have had this week and being able to find a shred of wisdom or a lesson for next time, right? Like with the energy of Mercury square Saturn, maybe there was a certain comet that came in your comment section on Wednesday that was a little bit of an ouch, or your boss said something. And on Thursday, you can find you're able to find the lesson in it or find the wisdom in it around that was not pleasant to hear or read, but I can see how this is helping me to progress forward. And it's choosing a very healing, forgiving lens to view the situation around, it does not mean I'm a bad person if someone in my comment section said I'm ugly, right? It does not mean I'm a bad person if I messed up at work. It does not mean I'm a bad person if I, took accountability in this major email string with the brand and everybody who works at my agency. Like, it does not say anything about me. And with Mercury sextile Chiron, it's like coming back to perspective, finding the lesson within it, understanding this isn't something that I need to take on or to feel guilty about or to feel bad about or to allow myself to color how it is that I talk to myself. This does not need to impact the narrative by which I tell myself and the narrative by which I frame my experiences. Like, I do not need to beat myself up from the inside out because I've made one little mistake or I got one bad comment today. And sometimes you really have to step into that role around choosing a new frequency to tap into mentally. Because midweek, with Mercury square Saturn, you could be tapped into a radio station of your mind that's telling you you're a failure, you made that mistake at work, or you're exactly what these people in your comment section are telling you that you are. Easy to stay on that Saturn dial, right? Listening to that Saturn station. And with Mercury sextile Chiron, again, a soft flow of energy, there's an invitation to change the dial around. This is not helping me. Telling myself I'm a failure and a loser is not helping me. It's an invitation to change the channel, change the dial to one that's a little bit more affirming, to one that's a little bit more supportive. Softly Chironian way of viewing the situation around, you did the best that you could, and now you know better for next time. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. You have a lot on your plate, but you're going to get it done. You always do. Or you're not just what these people are saying in your comment section. Like, think about the people who love you around you. It might take a muscle to intentionally reach for that more affirming, more supportive radio station, but it is available, especially on Thursday. Also on Thursday, we do have a first quarter moon. So this is a check-in point from last week's Gemini new moon. Let me know how that was, by the way, to next week's Capricorn full moon, if you can believe it. And this can be a crisis moon phase, and you could be feeling scattered. I'm really sensing that with the Gemini sun and the Virgo moon. You could be feeling all over the place. You could be feeling more anxious. You could be feeling more nervous. You could be assuming the worst, which is why it's extra important to be dialed in around what radio station you are dialed into. I saw a TikTok today where a gal was saying, what if it all works out and you spent the entire time of it working out stressing that it wasn't going to work out? Or what if it works out and you enjoyed the process of it working out? And you might be saying, well, what if it doesn't work out? That it wasn't meant to. And when you view things from that perspective, you can never really lose, because what is for you will not pass you. And you might be fearing or assuming the worst right now. Virgo moon is quite gifted at that. And with all this mercurial energy, our mind could be going crazy. But it's really stepping into this perspective shift around me stressing myself needlessly isn't going to change the end result. And again, I'm not invalidating what it is that you're going through. I'm not saying these things are so easy like a light switch to turn on and off. But with Mercury sextile Chiron, where you can be intentional with how it is that you're framing reframing the experience and try not to stress yourself out needlessly. See where it is that you can enjoy the process of it working out or of the problem being solved. And if it's not meant to be solved, it is what it is, and it will all work out one day. And that is the radio station that you need to be tapped into on Thursday. And that's echoed by the moon aspects, because essentially the Virgo moon comes in to create a mutable T-square with that Mercury square Saturn energy that was already building. So again, we could be feeling very scattered. We have a lot on our plate. We have a lot on our minds. We can be feeling more nervous. Our routines and responsibilities can be taking a lot from us. And again, the first quarter moon tends to make things feel more now or never. And it's just really important your responses this week, because when we're very stressed out, we do not behave as the best version of ourselves. And again, it's Gemini season. Allow yourself to be human. No one's expecting you to be perfect, but it is this energy. When you are stressed out, when you are overwhelmed, you are not behaving as the best version of yourself. You can find that you are a little sharper with your words. You can find you're a little quicker with the people that you love. Even if you do not intend to, when you're stressed out, you don't see the world clearly and you don't respond to others as you typically would. And it's just important as you're dealing with this energy that you're not too harsh with your language. People could be taking it to heart with Mercury square Saturn, separating the cosmos activated by today's Virgo moon kicking it up. And with Mars square Pluto, you could be letting your frustration get the better of you. So again, take a deep breath before you respond. Try not to react this week, try to respond. So on Friday, June 14th, at 9:33 a.m., Sun and Mercury will align in the sign Gemini, creating a Mercury Cazimi. And the word Cazimi means in the heart of the sun. And it essentially means when the sun and another planet fuse together and they essentially become one. And it really highlights the themes associated with that planet. Prior to this Cazimi, Mercury was being burned up by the sun, right? It was combust. And so that's why I was saying earlier with Mercury square Saturn, be discerning with what information or criticism or feedback that's being given to you, because with Sun so close to Mercury, some of the constructive criticism could be filtered by own people's ego. Like, not everything that people are saying is necessarily distilled truths, I want to say. And so it's important to be discerning with what's being taken on, as well as with Mercury combust. Sometimes we could be taking things a little bit more personally, right? And not being able to see the objective truth of a situation. So just something to bear in mind. But with the two fusing together, there is a message coming out. There is a spotlight on a message, on a bit of information. And for some of us, this could be more negative in tone, and for some of us, this can be more positive in tone. And I do feel that this week does ask us to work the muscle of radical acceptance around accepting this is the information that I'm being presented with. What am I going to do about it? Because we can throw a temper tantrum all day long that the sandwich shop doesn't have any turkey. It doesn't change the fact that they don't have any turkey. We can freak out and run around the event stressing everybody out because there's no shrimp cocktail, and that doesn't change the fact that there is no shrimp cocktail. There's just an ask this week around being able to accept things at face value and ask ourselves, how am I learning from this? Or what am I going to do about this information, or whatever else is coming to the surface currently? And with Sun Mercury, I don't mean to cast a negative tone over this energy. There could be good news that comes to the surface. This was the energy in the vibe check around getting the promotion, right? Like with the square to Saturn, yes, this is information that's going to require you to level up, to be more responsible, but it is ultimately a good message to have. Some of you may find that this is a time in which you are enacting your boundaries. You are telling someone something that might be uncomfortable for them to receive with a square to Saturn, but is enacting the boundaries that are necessary, right? It's having the uncomfortable conversations. And some of you might be feeling more confident to have conversations that maybe at other points in time you would have rather avoided or rather ignored. And Mercury is the trickster. So there can be some information coming out that is a little bit unusual, that is perhaps a little bit humorous. The universe could be talking to you in a really weird way. And again, there might be an ask, just accept the information as it's being presented and ask yourself, what am I learning from this? And try not to make it a story around self. We have the luminary of self fused with Mercury. So when we are listening to that Saturn radio station and allowing it to impact how it is that we view ourselves, we could be telling ourselves, you're such a loser, there's no shrimp cocktail here, you're the worst person ever, or you made this mistake. mistake, or this person, user 501275, said you have a weird nose, you should never show your face on the internet ever again. Like, you could be taking certain messages, whether it's something that someone said to you or a own way that you've been hurting your feelings, and making it something around you, which is why I was saying that radical acceptance might be helpful. And luckily, navigating air sign season does help us do that a little bit, like step out of the situation. To review, objectively, user 5172, whatever I said, does not really know me, so I can't allow them to craft the narrative around who it is that I am. Or objectively, there's no shrimp cocktail. Does not a bad person make? There might be a need to step out of something and review what messages you are weaving into the architecture of self. But ultimately, just look out for messages, whether they come from within, whether they come from around you. With Friday's astrology, the Virgo moon trines Uranus. This can be new approaches to getting things done. This could be an energy around grocery shopping and deciding to buy something unusual because the labeling is speaking to you, or it just sounds interesting. Like, yes, we're showing up for our rituals and our routines with the energy of Virgo moon, but we're being open to novelty with the trine to Uranus. However, that's not to say that everything we may put in our shopping cart, metaphorically speaking, will work out. You know, sometimes you try things at the grocery store and it's like a home run, you love it, and sometimes it's a little bit of a right? And we kind of see that with the Virgo moon squaring off with Venus and Gemini at 4:13 a.m., where there could be certain disappointments. You could be going to excess in terms of sweets or needing validation from others in an effort to feel better. Again, no one can give you what you are meant to give yourself, which is why it's really important to build that validation, that belief in yourself from within. Because sometimes with the energy of moon square Venus, we could want other people to tell us, tell me I'm good enough, tell me I'm valuable. And while it's important to have your people who will hype you up and cheerlead you and keep it honest with you, it's important to have those people within your life. Ultimately, it's dangerous to outsource your own opinion of yourself to other people. And the Mercury Cazimi reminds us of that. At the end of the day, it's all around the narrative of how it is that you view yourself and the narrative of how it is that you view your life. Your opinion of you is the only opinion that truly matters. That's not to say that we're not teachable, learning individuals, and other people's perspectives can be just the medicine for us to be our best selves. It's not saying that. At the end of the day, you need to be able to sleep at night. At the end of the day, you need to feel in integrity with who it is that you are and how it is that you are living your life. You cannot look to other people to tell you that you are okay and that you are doing okay. You can look to other people for hyping up, for mentorship, what have you. But at the end of the day, the most important opinion of you and your life and how it is that you are choosing to live it comes from within. So you just need to be mindful, because sometimes with moon square Venus, we either want people to validate us, right? Give us attention. Sometimes we could be turning to sweets or turning to like shopping, like in an effort to feel better. And ultimately in the morning, focus could be a problem. Again, with Mercury Cazimi, there could be all sorts of messages. Your phone could be blowing up. News could be crazy. There could just be all sorts of social media activity, all sorts of messages coming in. Your focus can feel fried, especially with the Virgo moon opposing Neptune. It's like a lot to do, but not necessarily having the focus to do it, or your mind could be all over the place around all the things that you should be doing and guilting yourself because you're not doing them, and you're sort of in dreamland, you're sort of at your work desk, yet nothing is being done. We have a very short void moon from 10:54 a.m. to 11:12 a.m., at which point the moon enters Libra, and now the focus is really around connection, collaboration, compromise. Great afternoon for team building, for connection, for sales meeting. There really is this emphasis around wanting to connect and to collaborate with other people, and really feeling how much more powerful we are when we do intentionally connect, as the Libra moon will trine Pluto in Aquarius around 2:30 p.m. And you know, all's well that ends well. The work week feels like it might have been a little hectic, might have been a little busy, might have been a little stressful for some of us, but we have the Libra moon building to trine Jupiter in Gemini. It exacts at 8:44 p.m., which is giving some good vibes for our weekend. We're in the mood to make plans. We're in the mood to connect. We're in the mood for date night. You could just be feeling this more optimistic vibe as it relates to connections. And with that optimism, we may enter Delulu territory, as do keep in mind the Libra moon is answering to Venus, who's building the square Neptune. So it's a great thing to be optimistic around the connections within your world and who it is that you are aligning with at this moment. But it's also important to keep your feet on the ground as your head is a little bit in the clouds. So on Saturday, June 15th, nothing happens. Happy Nothing Day. Happy Happy napping day. Okay, I just want to say there's no official aspects being made on Saturday, June 15th from a PDT standpoint. There's no even moon aspects. That's not to say that nothing will happen. If anything, it'll likely be a lovely day. Like last night we had the Libra moon trine Jupiter, so you can find this weekend you're feeling more social. You're in the mood to connect. You could find on Saturday you're feeling more social. You're wanting to make plans, you're wanting to have adventures with new sorts of individuals. Maybe you had a stressful week and there's just an ask to want to blow off some steam, to do something fun, to remember that life is so much more than being screamed at in the sandwich shop. Life is so much more than snarky coworkers. Sometimes when we're in petty disputes like this, it can feel like the most important thing in the world. And there's an ask this weekend to get back to the bigger picture, right? Get out in nature, do something that charges up your soul space, spend time with people whom you adore. Remind yourself that life is so much bigger than this petty dispute that happened earlier on in the week. And maybe if this week was trying for you, with Venus square Neptune building, there could just be this ask to escape into your own little world. Be like, you know what, people tried me this week. I just need to do my own thing, escape into my own little world, recover, rejuvenate my energy stores, rejuvenate my soul. With Venus square Neptune on Sunday, June 16th at 8:46 p.m., Venus in Gemini will square off with Neptune in Pisces. And because Neptune is such a slippery, nebulous energy, you are going to feel this build really Friday, Saturday, and you're going to feel this dissipate moving into next week as well. The Neptune orb tends to extend wider because it is such a murky vibration. And with the energy of Venus square Neptune, you could be a little delusional as it relates to Venusian matters. If anything, Gemini season reminds us of the power of our minds and the power of our brains. And again, with the Mercury Cazimi, the powerful role that we have as the writers of our story, of how it is that we center ourselves on our hero's journey, right, of our novel, the stories that we tell about ourselves. And it's important to know with Gemini season, we can talk ourselves into anything and we can talk ourselves out of anything. You could have came face to face with the truth. And with the energy of Venus square Neptune, you can use your mind to powerfully weave this whole new narrative, this whole new architecture around that, how that wasn't the truth at all, in order to stay safely suspended in the daydream, in the fantasy of it all. Can be an energy, this was weaved into the vibe check, around choosing forgiveness to a certain degree, opening our hearts to forgive. Because Lydia had us messed up, but rather than have a response, we were just like, hey, I'm going to apologize on behalf of the company. Even though I feel I'm in the right here with Venus square Neptune, it's just opening our hearts and opening our minds around, I'm just going to let this one go and let this one slide. And so that can be powerful. If you've been holding on to some rage or a situation where someone did you wrong, with Venus square Neptune, it can be that energy around just letting it go, realizing in this wide, wonderful world that you don't want to continue to hold on to the poison of anger that this situation gave you, and choosing to allow your heart to be open to compassion and forgiveness. And that can be freeing, ultimately for you, right? To not have to hold on to that, or with the energy of Venus square Neptune, just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna let this go. Because the energy of Neptune tends to take our ego out of the equation. And we were all ego earlier in the week with Mars square Pluto around, I need to prove myself, I need to prove I'm in the right. Venus square Neptune is like, in the bigger scheme of things, whatever, I'll just take the fall for this, not a big deal. Like sometimes it can work out like that around situations where you're like, this is not worth my energy. And in this big wide world, I don't wanna hold on to hate within my heart. And the energy of Neptune can be supportive around allowing you to potentially let it go or let it dissolve. But sometimes when it comes to boundaries and things of that nature, Venus square Neptune, we're not always so fierce around the protection of our boundaries. Maybe last week with Venus square Saturn, someone didn't call when they said they were going to, and we were like, nope, I'm done. And then with Venus square Neptune, this is the energy around talking ourselves into all of the reasons why they didn't, or giving this person a second chance even when they do not deserve it. Or not even wanting to face the truth because it's in direct competition with the fantasy of how we've projected this person to be. That's what can be so challenging about Neptune energies, is that we can build people up. We could put people on a pedestal and we're not letting them be who it is that they are. We're not letting their actions speak for itself around they did not call. They could not fulfill that commitment because we have this on this pedestal and we're designing and being creative around all the narratives of why that is in order to keep them up there. And that fall from the pedestal is steep. You know, when it comes to Neptune energy, if you've ever been put on a pedestal, if someone has ever done this to you, it's uncomfortable when someone does this to you because you can't keep up this facade of what someone's built you up to be. So it's not nice to do, whether you're putting someone up there or you're feeling someone else is putting up there. Like Neptune can be kind of that love balmy energy around you're perfect, there's nothing wrong with you, which again, with the energy of Neptune, it's so beautiful to see someone through these very soulful, divine eyes, to view someone through the lens of their soul and everything that they have the potential to be. But if anything, last week's Venus square Saturn was a reminder around what they have the potential to be and what they are showing up as is not the same thing. And we need to go as what they are showing up as. Now, with Venus square Neptune, when it comes to your love life, this can be an energy around choosing forgiveness, around, hey, you know, I could fight about the dishwasher thing and how it's technically your turn, but I'm just gonna choose to let it go. Like, I love you, I wanna keep the peace, I'm just gonna choose to let it go, right? I know I'm in the right, but I'm just gonna choose to let it go. We could feel this around just wanting a date with our partner where we make life feel like a dream, right? We just escape and avoid all responsibilities. That's what this weekend feels like, is like you and your partner had a stressful week and that you guys just shut off from the outside world to like build a fort and watch movies and eat junk food. Like that's what it's giving, is Venus square Neptune. There could just be a desire to just escape into either your own inner world or your own inner world with your partner, with your best friend or something of that nature, and just escape from reality for a little bit, which, listen, is needed every so often. But it's just important to know that Neptune very much feels like a drug. It kind of feels like a high, it kind of feels like being drunk. And there's always a crash, right? When you build someone up, eventually they need to come down off that pedestal. When you overindulge, whether this is financially buying a bunch of stuff or eating a bunch of stuff, you will get a tummy ache, or you will see your bank account balance in a certain amount. So yes, feel free to play in the Neptune, take photos, watch movies, listen to music, make your life into this dreamy, romantic experience. But just know that with every high comes a crash. With every shopping spree comes the sobering moment when you look at your bank account. With every junk food party comes a tummy ache. Like, it's just important to be mindful of the drawbacks, because sometimes with the energy of Neptune, we just want more, 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 and we just want to stay in our own fantasy world where stomach aches and bank accounts and reality checks don't exist. So just be mindful of that. And so shortly after that, at 11:20 p.m., Venus will enter Cancer. And this shifts the focus when it comes to our love lives, when it comes to our finances, when it comes to our beauty. With Venus in Gemini, there is this distinct focus around wanting to connect, around wanting to communicate. And we could have found within love and within dating, we really wanted to be learning something new through our lover. We wanted flirty banter through our lover. And now with Venus in Cancer, we're really looking to prioritize the connections that feel like home in a human being, that make us feel safe to be as we are, because that's what our homes ultimately do, is that regardless of the day that we had, the week that we had, we know we can come home and unwind. Whether we're super happy or whether we're sad, we know we retreat into the safe space that takes us as we are and allows us to rest and rejuvenate our energy stores. And with Venus in Cancer, we're craving connections and companionships who do the same for us, who allow us the fluctuations. You know, with the Venus answering to the moon now, the moon is constantly changing, it's waxing, it's waning. And with the Venus Cancer, we may be craving kind of that home base who allows us to show up as we are, regardless of whatever emotion we are showing up within. We could also find we are more inclined for cozy time at home. We could be more inclined to, you know, bake. If you can't literally bake, maybe putting some coffee cake creamer within your coffee. Venus in Cancer, it's all about those cozy indulgences, as well as there can be certain contemplations around tradition and familiarity and potentially even the past and nostalgia. And I do want to highlight on Sunday, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, especially mine. I know sometimes this holiday can be challenging for some of us, and with a Venus square Neptune, maybe that's why some of us are kind of escaping into our own world to not want to deal with this day and what it may represent for us. And with Venus in Cancer, there can be a certain energy of nostalgia or a certain energy around why did things work out this way, or why didn't things go like this. There could be a certain sentimental energy kind of baked into our Sunday. And yes, with Cancer energy, it asks us to honor the past that has got us to this point, but just to keep in mind that our future needs us. And honor the past that has built us up to this point, but it's important to know that your story is still being written, and the rest is still unwritten. So try not to skew too many of your experiences around the past and why didn't things work out like this and they should have went like this, or the best days are behind me. Your future needs you. So Venus in Cancer may ask you to appreciate the past that has gotten you to this point, while also being open to the story that you are continuously writing for yourself. So from a lunar perspective, on the 16th, the Libra moon will trine the Gemini sun around 4 p.m. So definitely a very connected vibe. If you are celebrating Father's Day, it does feel like a great day for connectivity. You could all just be wanting to escape into your own worlds together, just good food and music, and maybe even using that nostalgic energy that's kind of building in the cosmos around looking at old photos. Neptune energy could be helpful for that. Or even just being able to view the tradition or the holiday or the celebration through this lens around, wow, this will be a memory one day. And rather allowing that to be sad, just allowing you to soak in this moment even tighter, right? To allow the rest of the world to cease to exist, to be here now. That's also how you can use that Neptune energy, just dissolving completely into the moment. The Libra moon will also trine Mercury in Gemini around 11 p.m. So there definitely could be lots of conversation, a lot of chattiness, maybe even some humor, some dad jokes. Definitely alive within Sunday's astrology. The moon is then void from 11:05 p.m. to 11:38 p.m., at which point the moon enters its fall of Scorpio, which, yes, can be making our emotions more intense, but it's trining Venus in Cancer. So you could wrap up your Sunday, and thus your week, wanting to dive into the mysteries of the universe, wanting to dial into the energetic and emotional frequencies of life, wanting to nourish and nurture yourself by connecting to your soul space. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I focus on what deserves my energy. This is going to be important this week, to really focus on what deserves your energy, because not everything deserves your energy. Not everything that will be requesting your energy this week deserves your energy. Not everybody who tries you deserves a reaction. And when you view the world like that, you are a lot stingier with where you are allocating and thus investing your energy. This person who cut you off, this person who's screaming at you at the sandwich shop, this coworker who's saying, as per my last email, like, these all might be things that are frustrating to you and where you feel like you're in the right and you want to prove yourself. But it's important to know that you do not need to prove yourself to anyone. Like with the energy of Venus square Neptune, it's like in God's eyes, in the divine's eyes, the universe knows who you are. You know who it is that you are. You don't need to go above and beyond trying to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, or who are committed to painting you as the bad guy, or committed to trying to one-up you or compete with you. At the end of the day, you have to be good with you. And if you resort to sneaky behavior, manipulative tactics, you are playing on their level. And you need to be able to sleep with yourself at night. You need to be able to go to sleep every night and feel good about the ways that you behave that day. Does that mean that we are perfect? Does that mean that we don't make mistakes? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, you need to feel that you behaved with integrity. And sometimes that is letting people win. Sometimes that is not giving people the reaction that they want. Sometimes that is holding your tongue because you understand that words can have consequences, okay, with Mercury square Saturn. But when we view the karmic perspectives of Saturn, it's really knowing that if you are truly in the right, the scales of justice will be balanced. And sometimes we don't even need to get involved, right? Remember, success is the best revenge. So only put your energy to what deserves it, what it is that you value, what's important to you, what it is that you're prioritizing, and pay the rest dust. My loves, if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and let me know by commenting the sandwich emoji or use the word sandwich within a sentence to let me know that you made it to the end. I so appreciate you. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. I want to give a thank you to Keen, the sponsor of this week's Magic Monday. Reminder, you can get your first 5-minute reading for just $1 when you use my link, trykeen.com/Comet, to get all of your questions answered this Gemini season and beyond, whether it's your love life, your finances, your friendships, your coworkers, whatever it is that you are curious on. You can connect with an advisor on Keen who is uniquely equipped to meet your needs and answer your questions. So thank you again, Keen. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay